everybody, and this is MegaFire, David here with my good friends Dorko for you, Bob Hood, and Harvek. And today we are once again reading the Sonic Archie comics.
And what's the show called?
It all goes back to Sonic, one way or another. How was your guys' last couple weeks? I don't think we had one of these for a couple weeks now. So how's it been?
I've been good. I've been a heck of a lot worse. I had a fun couple weeks.
Exhausting. The Arizona summer has begun.
My condolences.
Summer has begun everywhere, but
yeah, but
except unless you're on the southern hemisphere.
It's the Arizona summer, so
True. There's been a lot of games out recently, and I have had barely enough time to play them. There's Zelda, then there's Final Fantasy just came out a couple days ago, and I just started this last night. I read the first comic, and I was like, I'm gonna go take a break and play some 16, and I was like, I don't want to stop. So I had to read the rest of them today, like this morning, and I was like, oh please, I want to play more Final Fantasy.
I had a similar experience, except it was something with way worse.
Oh,
I read about halfway through our first issue. Then I was like, I'm gonna take a little break, and in that time, I got to level 80 in MapleStory.
Bro, I mean, it all makes sense, right? Like, I was just playing, but you know what the worst part is? As I was playing 16, as I was watching those cutscenes play out, some of the combat cutscenes in that game, I was like thinking about the Mecha Men specials. Oh man, it was terrible. I was like, you know what? This kind of reminds me of some of the fights in Mecha Men.
Even when you're trying to play Final Fantasy, your mind is like, it all goes back to Sonic.
It does. It's terrible. I hate it. I was like, why? Why am I thinking of Sonic right now? I mean, if anybody doesn't know, 16 has some really good cinematics during like combat. And usually it's just a bunch of people walloping on each other. And that really summarizes the Mecha Madness, both the issue 39 of Sonic and Sonic and Knuckles Mecha Madness special. So the issues we covered for this episode, to segue to that, is issue 39, then the Mecha Madness special, and then issue 40 and 41. A pretty short batch this time, but mainly because there was, I don't know, a lot of art to digest. I guess I'll give the floor to Bob so he can give us the summaries of what happened in issue 39.
I will give us the summaries. I'll tell you. 39. Sonic has this grand plan to get himself roboticized and put the little neutralizer on his head to infiltrate Robotnik's. And then the rest of the Freedom Fighters are like, oh no, that's not going to work. Don't do that. Sonic is like, alright, and he leaves. And then, next thing you know, Knack the Weasel ambushes and captures him. So he hands him over to Robotnik, who turns Sonic into Mecha Sonic without any neutralizer or anything. So he's just full-on, like, roboticized on the enemy team. So Sonic proceeds to try to strike down the Freedom Fighters, and they can't do much. Knuckles is their last hope, but he fails to stop Sonic as well. And Sally decides it's time for Operation, quotes, last resort. And it ends there.
Knuckles, Juan Kenobi, you are my only hope. Oh. You're dead. Damn, just like Star Wars, for real.
Hopent.
Real banger starting off on this cover. I just want to point out that I love this cover, but also specifically two faces that were on there. I can't get over them. One of them is just Sonic going, Eee! He looks like he's just puckering up from something really sour. And then the second one is just a huge pog face.
You're gonna crash.
You're gonna crash. Tails, watch out. That's exactly. You're so right. It is. Again, anything that like any kind of visuals that we talk about, and I have screenshots for it. We'll post it in show notes. But the cover was great. it was again Pat Spaziante and Mr. Harvo that did the cover, and I don't know, I really like I mentioned this before, but I said I really like Spaz's art, but this is probably the first cover where I was like, you know, besides the funny faces that I pointed out, I was like, this is really cool, and it actually does accurately depict what happens in the comic. I know this is something we mentioned in previous issues where you're like, oh, this cover's so cool. If only the actual stuff in the like comics, the content had like the same energy. And it does, finally. It actually does. I feel like it pretty accurately represents what's going on screen.
Yeah, this is one of the most like fun ones to look at so far, I think. I had a lot of fun with this issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was okay, this is a very specific, if you read Tails Gets Trolled, I'm just gonna post something. I want you guys to look at it. I made this because this is the first thing that came into my head. Sonic walking through the door and just being like, I'm gonna go hit the weights because I'm so like he's mad. He like makes the noise and he's like, I'm gonna go hit the weights before he gets hit by Knack. And all I can think of is, I'm so mad. I'm going to have sex with my girlfriend so I won't be so mad.
Sonic walks into the room and there's Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Like, let's get those gains, pal.
All right, buddy, let's lift them weights. I can't believe Sonic's a weight guy. I can believe it, actually. After his behavior at the end of the special, shit, I could see it. What a piece of crap. Also, Crabmeat transforming into a giant thing was really cool, and also him going Mecha wow. All I could think of is Mega High. There's so many like cool callbacks at the beginning of this one, because they talk about like all these plot lines that kind of revolve around roboticization, and then they try to like dupe the system, where it's like Sonic, I think it was Sonic 29 and 30, where Sally gets roboticized and tries to overcome it with the chip. And then Sonic 3 is the first time that we see Bunny, who, you know, went through that portable roboticizer that they had set up in the forest, and Sonic saves her. So I think that's neat. It's especially interesting to me because this is Mike Gallagher's story. Mike Gallagher, whom up till now, every time his name's been attached to something, it's been like either A, he's introducing characters that nobody cares about, that he doesn't seem to care about because they're just kind of one-offs, or B, it's like a pun story. It's just a punny story. It doesn't matter. It's slapstick. This feels like he has comedy going for it, because there's like a lot of these panels where it's just puns of what's going on, but at the same time the situation surrounding them is kind of serious, which is interesting. We get a lot of Robotnik close-ups, and he just expands and contracts. And
if I can bring up something real fast, I think this will probably be like the 5th time I've mentioned this, but this is the fattest Robotnik has ever been.
I don't have the panel on hand, but that was like the most round Robotnik I've ever seen.
I feel like we're all thinking of the same Robotnik. Is it the one where it's like it's zoomed in his face and it's like, yeah, he's huge. He's big, bro. Like he takes up 2 panels. Like no, like he clips out of the panel, doesn't he? Into the neck, like the previous panel.
Robotnik is turning. We're reaching Fat Albert levels here.
It's quite weird. Like, I think it's kind of neat because we get the Robotnik of inconsistent size, but we also get this treasure, Robotnik in his jammies, dude. He's so comfy. Why does he drink motor? Okay, I need to assemble the council. Okay. We know a robot version of Robotnik exists. This is not a robot, man. Why is he drinking motor oil?
No, but he has like fucked up ears and the metal hand. He's probably basically part robot, probably.
He's kind of robot, but I don't think his stomach is robot.
He's got an iron gut.
Maybe that's why he keeps expanding and contracting between panels.
Well, I would too if I drank motor oil.
This is insane. I feel like, I don't know. I never thought about it before, but I'm like looking at the motor oil. I'm like, we got introduced to Robotnik, completely different guy. He actually is roboticized, but this Robotnik, I mean, he has like, metal hand and metal ears, but I mean, motor oil, just like that, guzzling that shit, guzzling the glizzy motor oil. Come on.
He wants a slurp. Let the man slurp.
So true. I guess, to each their own. Like to point out that we keep making the joke about Knuckles Jesus, but Robotnik just drops the freaking he is risen as Mecha Sonic appears. And also, I just want to point out that this is this Mecha Sonic that they use is the one that's based off of Mark II from Sonic and Knuckles, the game. Mecha Sonic Mark II, yeah.
Our favorite robot.
Yeah. And every Flash enthusiast, every Sonic Flash enthusiast knows, the most widely used Mecha Sonic ever, including the popular Super Mario Bros.
Something, I'll crush you.
Something, I'll crush you.
You said the thing.
Mm-hmm. He did.
Oh my god!
It was trending on Twitter for a little bit when he did that.
We're not there yet. We'll get there eventually.
We'll get there one day.
In the far future, when we forget when we all have like dementia or whatever.
Yeah, we all forget that he says that. And we get to the part where we're like, he said the thing. Nicole has now become the plot engine. I don't know if that's a real term, this plot armor, but like she just kind of comes out the cuts and Sally's just holding her up like, that's reading is Sonic and he's been roboticized. Like, what? Why do you know this? How does Nicole? I mean, I guess Nicole would know, but like, sure is convenient, isn't it?
She's a computer. She knows everything.
I like how the freedom fighters all immediately go, "Oh yeah, Sonic betrayed us."
I mean,
like, pretend I'm snapping my fingers here immediately.
Yeah, I can understand. I was thinking about that at first. And my initial was like, y'all really don't have faith. But then I thought about it. I'm like, well, Sonic kind of sucks, and he has been known to be very like impulsive, and he did disappear. So, and now he's a robot. You know what I mean? Like there's a breadcrumb trail. You could follow. It's not the most crazy of situations, I would say. Bunny, important lore drop, alert. She has an uncle named Beauregard. Don't forget that, I guess. I don't know.
And not just that, she's also from the Confederacy?
Yeah, the South will rise again. Okay. Before I want to point out
how to ruin a character instantly.
No, she wasn't. She was literally flying up. I will defend Bunny, dude. She got so much screen time on this. She was kicking Sonic's ass, Sonic's ass.
She got a full page spread.
It's just a really stupid line, and it's like kind of the one thing that really ruins this for me.
It's, you know what? The South doesn't exist in this, so you can just keep it like that. Yeah. The South isn't real. The South.
I'll leave it at that.
Let's leave it at that. You know what? The South may just mean the South Pole will rise again, and Bunny is a big enthusiast.
No, I did get a chuckle when I was like, I saw like an internet comment in reaction, like reacting to the South will rise again quote, and just being like, "Bitch, are you for real?"
She's trying her best. But okay, we do get her. We get a full Bunny Rabot spread. We get a few panels of her kicking ass and then getting her ass kicked because they have to build up to the Mecha Madness special.
I mean, I did think it was cool to see her fighting and whatnot.
Yeah.
She's fun.
A lot of text. We got a lot of like character development question mark. I mean, it's like up until now we've had Ken Penders writing a Shakespearean play every time Knuckles is on screen with himself. He just monologues, but none of it really matters. Like, none of it's kind of empty. I mean, most of it just doesn't make sense. Even the ones in the Sonic comic, like the Zone of Silence story, it was kind of nothing. Even though the setting and the plot was so cool, most of stuff that people said just doesn't matter. In this, it's kind of like you're building up the characters, right? You get to see more of that Sally taking command, being
figure of authority.
A figure of authority, but also being like owning up, to her decisions.
Yeah, I kind of like that they do that with her sometimes.
Mike Gallagher did a great job on this set of comics, because he really like
good issue.
It feels like he went from like, here's this Saturday morning cartoon, to listen, we're writing a story that's kind of tying together some of these older plot lines, and we're building up to something else. And it was really cool. I don't know. I was impressed, just because when I was reading through these comics before, I never really paid attention who wrote what. So this is new to me, like seeing who actually did stuff. And my assumption was that Ken Penders wrote this back when my previous 3 read-throughs or whatever.
Oh man, right now I can't imagine ever making that mistake myself.
Okay, now that I've analyzed, because like I said, Ken has some good stories out there. We haven't gotten to them, but there's some good ones. There are good ones, and they are like, it improves as things go on, because more plot threads are kind of up in the air for people to play with without having to step on each other's toes. But right now it's like kind of, we're in a smaller space, and they are introducing a lot of stuff that's one time. So it was interesting to me to be like, oh, because like I mentioned, it reminded me a lot of Zone of Silence, like with the Sally's father, but it was better. So I was just like, well, maybe naturally, Ken was like, okay, I'm gonna write the characters better. I was wrong about that, but it still does, like, I feel like there's a kind of like a similarity between these two stories, like the way that kind of it's written. Too serious, like, it's our first serious like big plots, and they're kind of delved into, and the characters get a lot of time to talk.
The big boy plots.
It's
an easy thing. A big boy plot in something like this is an easy thing to fuck up, obviously, but I feel like they are doing a decent enough job in 39, so I'm happy with how it came out.
Mm-hmm. Knuckles gets revenge on Sonic. He just appears out of nowhere. He just uppercuts that bitch. That's revenge. Yeah, your revenge from the time that Sonic appears out the lake and just sucker punches Knuckles in the Sonic vs. Knuckles special. But yeah, that's what I wanted to say. And then I have one more thing on 39. And that is the very last page. We have in some of the issues, the people who read the comics back in the day wrote in. All the kids reading, and it was really kind of cool going through this one in particular, because one of the kids was just writing about how much he likes Sonic CD and how much he really liked the issue. I think it was 25. That was like the one that adapted Sonic's, or not, it didn't adapt CD. I don't think we had an adaptation, but I think I mentioned this myself, where I was like, a lot of this is feeling like Sonic CD. Is that right? I'm gonna look back on my notes, but
I mean, there was definitely an issue that was like Sonic CD, yeah, like introduced Amy and had Metal Sonic, etc., etc.
Right, but it didn't have like the actual like time travel-y weirdness stuff.
Yeah, it didn't have the time travel.
Yeah, but I just think it's cool, like seeing this kid from 1996, and it's really interesting. He's just like, I guess I'll just read it out, but I really enjoy reading your comics. Although I have only known about your comic for a little more than a year, I've been able to amass all but 4 issues that guy has sitting on a gold pile right now. I liked Sonic 25. It was a lot like the CD game, which brings me to my next point. I urge everyone to try to get the Sega CD system while it's still around on sale. The Sonic CD game is awesome, and it has a kick-butt soundtrack too. Now I have 2 questions. 1, Sally is my favorite character. Is she ever going to get her own regular series? No. 2, I was very impressed with Ken Penders' artwork. Will he be doing any more penciling? I wanted to bring this up on 3 levels. A, the fact that Sally will never get her own comic. B, the fact that he references Sonic CD. And 3, the fact that most of us have been talking shit about Ken Penders' artwork. And
I urge everybody to get Sonic CD on Steam before they delist it so they can sell a Sonic Origins instead. I'm from the future. Heed my warning.
Oh boy, and just this is written as if Sonic was responding, by the way. So Sonic's response is, Sally's my favorite too. You better not be trying to horn in on my action, bud. As far as Sally's series goes, she's not interested in being the star of her own comic. Me, I'm another story. All I know is she likes being right here with me, so I'm not complaining. Impressed with Ken's work? Eh? Well, any fan of Ken Penders is a friend of mine. To answer your question, Ken is working on a story he's writing and drawing even as you read this. Expected your way in the near future.
Ken is also super ripped and has like an 8-pack abs.
I saw him in the shower.
Very handsome fellow.
I saw him in the shower. Ken Penders will not try to sue us in the future. No way. He's a cool stand-up guy, I promise. Sincerely, Sonic the Hedgehog.
I can't talk about what else I saw, but man, it was impressive.
Anyway, that's it. That's all I had. You guys have anything on 39? I know I said I wrote a lot. This was a lot. I mean,
I
I thought it was funny when Barney was like, I'm gonna drive the libs out a knothole.
I must have missed that.
So that joke seemed funnier like when we brought that up, that line, but I thought of it and I was waiting for everyone else to finish, so it doesn't seem as funny now. I'm sorry.
No,
I mean, it actually did crack me up, but it took me a minute to process what you said.
Bunny is just anti-organics in knothole. They're just it's just not natural.
But yeah, I like 39. I didn't really have much to say about it, because it was just solid. Not much to comment on, really.
Yeah, it was solid. It was action-packed, very good art.
This is almost redundant, but it cracked me up again of just Tails bringing up like, oh, I met your great grandfather. It's like, oh, this is Tails just bringing that up for no reason again. It's just so awkward. I'm pretty sure Knuckles even responds like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
I think he's like, oh yeah, I remember you telling me this before. Okay. This is the interaction that they have in the writer's room between the 2-3 writers of the story. Like, Ken just sits down and he's like, remember, please make sure to mention that Knuckles' grandfather alluded to the fact that you knew Sally Acorn. And Ken and Mike Gallagher is probably like, oh, okay.
Like, some of this stuff seems like, okay, I guess that's kind of natural, but then yeah, especially with Tails, that just strikes me. This is so clumsy. They're just like trying to like shoehorn a way of this about this other comic. Make sure you read that one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of those things, actually. I forgot to mention.
I mean, you have to.
They
also
do that a
think
lot.
about it.
As we go along, I'm starting to notice.
You have to think about it. They're actually starting to have consistency in their plot, and
I appreciate the continuity. It's just weird trying to remember all these things that happen all at once. They do it a lot now.
Yeah.
Where is Cal and Al?
We'll get there.
Okay.
I can't believe this. You also have to remember that they publish these comics once a month. So, you know, it's for the people that have the comics and they need to reference something because it's been like actually a year. You know what I mean? And most comics do this. I don't know, MG, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't most comics do it like that? I mean, it becomes more organic later on, where they'll just say a line and then there'll be like a little asterisk next to it without it being like, hey, remember, it's like not as explicit. It's like they'll talk about a situation kind of.
It's like I get the concept. I understand like why you would do it or why it'd be handy. I mean, but I feel like
it's shoehorned.
This one example of like Tails bringing up great grandfather is like, well, that was completely pointless, actually.
Yeah, it's really bad. Yeah. No, I agree. It's Mike Gallagher still doing the. That's what I'm saying when I'm like, it's literally they look at the screen, they wink, and then they're like, "Remember this, kids." Because it's still like half Saturday morning cartoon mode. I don't know. Like, it's really funny to me because it's like there's a plot that's moving and it's really interesting. But then it's also like you get that. Hey guys, remember Knuckles' grandpa? Okay. Anyway, that's everything. Mecha Madness special. Let's go. The big 48 pager where robots engage in hot, oily pounding on each other.
Was it 48 pages? It seemed really a bit shorter. But maybe
it's 48 pages total, including the second story.
Yeah, because like a lot of it was like the second and third story, actually.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get to that later. Not Whole is evacuated in wake of Sonic thrashing everything. In order to be a match for Sonic, Knuckles volunteers to get roboticized using a machine that Robotnik had left behind early on. So he turns into Mecha Knuckles. They get into a big fight. And they knock themselves into Robotnik's like nuclear bomb stockpile that he was planning on using himself, causing a massive explosion in Robotropolis. After which, Knuckles brings the now incapacitated Sonic back to Not Whole to get everybody de-roboticized. But once all that is said and done, Sonic is then accused of like going along with his original plan of getting roboticized and is taken to court.
He is in prison, Bob. Don't sugarcoat it. This man is court-martialed. He might be executed. We just don't know until we get to issue 40.
That would have been a very different ending right there. Sonic gets arrested. Anton pulls out a gun and shoots him in the back of the head.
I'm sorry, mon ami.
This is the Anton story now. No, I'm not.
Speaking of the roboticizer, that's the original one that Bunny was saved from Sonic 3.
Yeah, I didn't specify.
No, it's okay. I just wanted to point that. I think that's cool. I don't know. It's a very small thing.
Because I did omit a number of things. I really appreciate from the summary, just so we're all clear, including I almost forgot to show off. I want to stress that I like the art, but some of these Robotnik faces are a little. I want you to look at this. I want you to look at this. I want you to look at these teeth.
Yep.
So, I think my favorite panel in this whole comic is Knuckles just diving face first.
Yeah, okay, I was gonna bring that up as well because it's really funny. He's ready. He wants it. What happened? What traumatized this boy?
So I have a continuity question. Why is the roboticizer the only thing that can stop Mecha Sonic? What happened to the Chaos Emeralds? Where'd they go?
It's not the roboticizer exactly. So, okay. Yes, you could probably do the Chaos Emeralds, but you have to find a special zone to do that and also like get all the prerequisites. And I guess, they're kind of running on no time for this. So continuity-wise, I'll explain that in just a second. All right, the second's up. The reason is, I had to look at my notes. The reason is, it's funny because I wrote this down. The reason that happened is because they had to use his Sonic's billionth ring. So they just needed a really big source of power. Because if you remember, they used the roboticizer as a catalyst. Listen, the science doesn't make any sense. This is all bullshit. This is all make-believe. It's fiction. It's not real. But the logic train is that they use the roboticizer as a catalyst, and then you use this magical, mystical billionth ring to transform everybody back. So it's well, Sonic specifically. I don't know how Knuckles is able to. I guess it was a one-time use on that roboticizer. Rotor did customize it himself, so there's that. But to reference something that I really loved is this panel when Rotor's like, are you sure we should roboticize Knuckles? Wouldn't that make us no better than him? And then Sally's just fucking unamused face at you, Rotor.
If we kill him, we'll be just like him.
I love this. There's so many good panels and faces, and I don't know. I like that a lot.
I do love how Robotnik just has a stockpile of nuclear weapons just ready to go.
Okay, so when those went off, right? And there's the whole panel explaining, it's sizzling with radiation, it's filled with poison. And then Robotnik just, like, emerges. Like,
he drinks motor oil.
He's immune, right? Can we...
Not only does he emerge, he is stuck in that manhole. Let's be honest here.
Yeah, so they just casually nuke Robotropolis. Let's just not sugarcoat that part either. You said they bring down the city. They bring it down with nukes. Sonic and Knuckles just crash into his nuclear stockpile.
Because it's something that I think is weird that a character can just like show up in the nuclear fallout. But again, I have to give it a pass because he was just drinking motor oil, so I guess this shit's normal for him.
It's Robotnik. You know.
He's gonna turn into a ghoul eventually if he stays out too long.
Speaking of the art, though, everybody's for some reason the first few pages, everybody's heads and mouths look so weird. Why do they all look like the Goofy emoji? You know the zany face. This is what they all look like on the first page. The freaking zany emoji with the googly eyes and the tongue out and the mouth is kind of like leaning and the head is like to the side. I think I read in Thanks Kim Penders' blog, like they also pointed that out. She was like, Spaz just drew everybody's heads at a tilt with tiny mouths, and I'm like, it really is this same face on that panel. Sheesh.
Yeah.
I also think it's funny that Knuckles instantly recognizes Sally, literally going I'd recognize. She just kicks him in the ass, literally, and he's just like, I recognize that foot on my ass anywhere. Also, unfortunately, this will not make sense to most anyone, but you guys might remember how when I was reading this comic a different time and I was posting screenshots of it way back, that Mr. President would constantly make jokes about Knuckles and magnets, and I was really angry. I got livid about that because it doesn't make any sense, and Knuckles' magnet fetish. Unfortunately, he might be onto something. But I don't like to travel alone, Mecha Sonic. By inverting the polarity in my claws, I create a massive magnetic field. Why does he have that knowledge?
I think this is just a very weird coincidence.
No, it must be true. I've been bested. I guess he does like magnets. I mean, this is such an interesting thing. Like, this man who lives on an island away from society, why would he know about how magnet work? Unless it was a
because echidnas are hyper intelligent.
I forgot
remember?
Completely. That's right.
Not really sure how much that applies to Knuckles.
He's not dumb, but to know about reversing the polarity of his nipples on his knuckles.
You have to remember we're talking about Knuckles the Echidna, not Nipples the Enchilada.
We haven't gotten there yet.
Not yet, yeah.
I still love that guy got a real job with Sega.
Yeah.
It's great.
It is.
I've met him once at PAX one year. It's funny because his booth was empty. I was like, what the hell?
Oh.
How could you, even if you hadn't read boxer hockey, this man's doing Sonic stuff. How could nobody be there? How could nobody be out there buying prints from this man, getting autographs? Come on.
So, can we just raise the power levels to ungodly levels now? with the fact that both Mecha Knuckles and Mecha Sonic withstood multiple nukes with no problem.
This is because they're robots.
Well, they're damaged, but like they're fine. It's okay.
Yeah. This was why it's a special. Now we're back to a lower level of power.
Oh, okay.
I do think it's conceptually kind of cool. Just the idea of let's roboticize Knuckles to make him stronger. Like, I mean, when it comes to when it comes to Sonic stuff, I don't think I've ever seen that before. Of the idea of like a character being like, I'm gonna become a robot to increase my power.
Why did Knuckles turn back?
I don't know. He jumped in and he jumped out, bro. He's in there for a moment.
But it seems to benefit him, and he's not suffering from the mind control problem that Sonic is.
Well, I thought there was a bit of an implication that like there was danger of him losing his will or something.
Okay.
Oh, he was overloading. I remember Nicole. I remember because there was like an exchange between Knuckles and where Nicole has her first speaking line in this issue, and Knuckles like, I think I'm hearing shit. I must be going nuts. And then it's like, no, Nicole is just telling you that like she reads the fact that you're overloading or whatever. So
I'm hearing dial-up noises. I gotta turn back.
Oh no.
Is that what that
when
was?
they turn? Yeah, it was Nicole. Nicole is like, you're over, like you're. I mean, like Knuckles even says like. The nuclear firestorm was no picnic for me. So it's like, I mean, they got damaged really badly, so they needed to turn back, or they would overload, like, machine failure. So yeah, that was that.
Yeah.
Can I talk about this screenshot that I just posted?
Give us the deets.
So, for context, the scene where they turn Sonic back, they bring back his ring from his house, and they have to like use it. And right before that, Nicole does a scan on Sonic, but it kind of makes it seem like the way the panels are flowing, like they're using the ring on him to turn him back. And she like has to plug in or like connect with Sonic or something, like the roboticizer to Sonic, and then use the ring. My diseased brain and also the scan of the comic that I was reading was really off color. I don't know where I got it from. This is old. This is like the first time I read this. There is basically like a spring that's coming out of Sonic's crotch, and I thought it was the ring that was just flying into his crotch. And I'm like, why did they draw it like that? Why does he have the cock ring of power to turn him back? And ever since then, I see what it is now, but like every time I get to this panel, I'm like, I swear I thought those whirlies were yellow. Like I thought I thought it was like a yellow ring, like pulsating on his crotch. I'm not a furry, but
stop.
All right, and then Sonic's a piece of shit. He just yells at Knuckles. He's a dick. Nobody likes him. Nobody acknowledges that he's cool, and he gets arrested. Piece of shit.
He's being arrested for being a fucker.
Yeah, I don't think there really is like any like established reason at all. They're just like, Sonic, he just kind of hates Knuckles just because.
He's a cool dude. He's a rude dude. It's cool to be rude back in the 90s. Don't you remember?
Like maybe there's not very much different about Sonic and Anti-Sonic after all.
Only a little bit. But now Sonic's arrested, so that's pretty great. And that's the Mecha Madness special. I got nothing else to say. I mean,
the one thing Sonic cannot run away from: the U.S. justice system.
It's not even the U.S. justice system, as we'll find out in the next issue. It's a kangaroo court because there's actual kangaroos.
Yes, but before the kangaroo court, we have two specials to chew through. Not specials. Side stories.
Sorry, that's
I can
right.
see why you might have forgotten these.
I did. All right. You want to give us the summary of this story?
Here's the summary. 1. Chaotic story. The Chaotix get beat up by some other guys. They play dead and beat them up back. Then the Chaotix get beat up by the immortal former ruler of Mobius, Mammoth Mogul. Then he leaves. You can tell by the way I wrote this that I did not like it as much as the other thing.
It was kind of boring. And just for context, Scott Fulop, going by Kent Taylor, is the one that wrote this one, and Harvo is actually doing the art, like the whole art thing for this, because usually he does the inking for Spaz on the covers and stuff. When I say it's them working together, that's an interesting tidbit.
It shows. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's okay. It's not bad, but it's not great. It's just Mammoth Mogul is kind of cool. I think I just realized he's well, okay. He's the Vandal Savage of Sonic Archie, like literally. Vandal Savage from DC Comics.
Right.
It's a mess story, but it's kind of nice to have like this is setting up Mammoth Mogul.
Yeah, that's the only bit of enjoyment I really. Okay, well, I got the enjoyment of like, oh, it's this guy. I know him because he shows up later. But also, I did think it was really funny, probably unintentionally funny, of just him like showing up, giving this big long monologue of being like, "This is who I am. I'm such a big deal," and then like they basically just like punch him once, and then he's like, "I'm out of here." Tactical retreat.
oh shit! You guys actually fight back. I gotta rethink some stuff. Hold on.
Man folded like immediately.
It's the classic. I gotta go.
I got a chicken in the oven from 25,000 years ago. I gotta go check on it.
I'm about to get into a fight with giant cockroaches with Superman. I'll be back.
Yeah. Maybe next time. Chaotix, my arch enemies. Il Capone. That's all.
Let's move on to Sonic 40.
Yeah, we don't really need to talk about.
No, okay, Sonic 40. Amy, we're just gonna skip it.
There's not a third story, and no, it doesn't matter.
Look, the Scallops die a horrible death via water pressure. That's all you need to know.
You also need to know Il Capone. That's it.
Il Capone. All right. Amy Rose protests for Sonic's freedom, and then Sally expresses regret for imprisoning him, even though she still believes it needs to be done. In court, Antoine is all for proving Sonic guilty, and then Sonic brings up a bunch of counterpoints and defeats him in court. But the ruling still comes up guilty, so Sonic convinces Sally to delay the ruling for 20 hours to turn it around, maybe find Knack. So he visits the Robo-Hobo jungle to confront some of the classic Robotnik robots. He beats them up in order to get for information about Knack the Weasel, who made his hideout in the bottom of the barrel bar and grill. Knack unfortunately gets away with the now unconscious Sonic, but then while Knack is in the middle of discussing money with Robotnik, Sonic wakes up. He clocks Knack in the face and sends Knack's bike rocketing towards Robotnik, blowing it up. It's a nuke, apparently. And then he finally takes Knack to prison, freeing himself from the court's verdict. The end. Thoughts?
Fuck off, Anton. I hate you.
No! He's right. Fuck. Sonic needs to get a fucking sit the fuck down. He screams at all of his friends. He makes an ass of himself. He you know what?
He's an asshole, but don't put him into prison for the wrong reasons.
He needs to be put in prison. He needs to cool his heels. This is the intense debate of the Sonic. All goes back to Sonic podcast. Sonic should be in prison for war crimes.
Can we put Anton in prison for letting Knack escape? Like it was
okay, but it wasn't his fault. It's
yes,
Knack the
was.
Weasel.
It was Knack the Weasel. His fault.
Okay, I'll be honest. It was a slip up on his end, but his performance in court was pretty good.
I would like to point out that he screams at an 8-year-old and like a 10-year-old.
As they, you know what? Those 8-year-olds and 10-year-olds need a little discipline.
So, yeah,
I'm gonna kick you from this call now.
Stop badgering the witness, and he's holding a badger.
I was kind of hoping it would be that one character from the other comics.
Which one?
The knockoff Sonic.
I
Wasn't he a badger?
I don't remember.
I don't.
The brown dude with the Chewbacca bandolier.
I have no idea.
He was teamed up with Porky Pig.
You're asking a lot for us to remember any of these characters.
It's a Looney Tunes thing?
No.
All right. I'm sorry. Hey, listen, my outburst earlier does not reflect my current position on Anton de Coulet in the trial of Sonic v. the State of Knothole. He did act unprofessionally, but you know what? I'm just so tired of people putting Anton down. I naturally jumped to defend him. I love that guy, but you're right. His performance was not his best in that case.
I mean,
this is just a bad episode, I swear.
I blame Mike Gallagher. He read him wrong. He wrote him incorrectly.
I mean, for me, just reading this, I just thought a lot of the characters were just kind of annoying. But oh well.
Everybody was so angry.
Yeah.
Everybody's so mad. Bunny was gonna saw Sonic's head off.
Just a lot of
she's like
just watching these characters just be so angry with each other and then be like, yeah, we're friends. I'm like, okay.
Are you sure? You have a weapon called the Hedgehog Hunter.
I did think there was something funny with the whole bit of just being like, oh yeah, Rotor made this whole thing to destroy you, Sonic, and then Rotor's just like, oh, I was just doing my job.
Toxic hero group.
Dude, it's Batman. It's the contingency plan.
Where there's a different comic series, I feel like this would have been the point Sonic went solo.
I mean, he kind of does. Also, this is the Hedgehog Hunter. But yes, I mean, okay, listen. To be fair, this has happened again before. That is why Rotor built a contingency, and he was right. It worked. It was correct. It was the right time to do it. He did do his job, but he was correct to do it. I you know what? I'll defend Rotor on that point. You know, it's not his. It's with you know what Spider-Man say? With great power come great responsibility.
So, there's one thing I like to talk about. I like when Robotnik first shows up. There's a hilarious contrast in like art style when he starts talking about Mecha Sonic and Mecha Knuckles.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just to give context, it's Dave Manick doing the art again for this issue.
Yeah, but there's like I think those are just direct rips from the actual special.
Probably. Yeah.
So they're in like a completely different art style.
Yeah.
You got the freaking Orbitron there, like this cartoony robot next to Mecha Knuckles with line details everywhere.
Yeah, you got the Badnik, the Orbitron. I just going back to, because since you've mentioned the fact that Robotnik just chills in the nuclear atmosphere, he is just there at the nuclear power plant site, chilling after the city was nuclear, like had a nuclear explosion. So I guess he is just built different, literally.
He's got a lot of rataways. He's just pumping them immediately. I shall put this in my oil. Radiation free now.
I think it's cool that they're like, okay, poorly aged joke to be honest, but the Robo Hobo Jungle, and it's just a bunch of like the Badniks that haven't appeared for a really long time, like Caterkiller. I think the last time he appeared was, well, they referenced that he appeared in the Sonic Limited series, which is like that very first publication. So I think that's kind of fun. Not the joke, but you know, like there's just like all these. He just finds the old scrapped Badniks.
This feels similar to something else. I can't put my finger on what it is, though.
I don't get it.
It's because it hasn't happened yet.
Oh.
It
won't happen. It won't happen in the Archie series.
Wait, are you talking about Scrapnik?
Yes!
Scrapnik. Oh my god, I can't believe Scrapnik Island stole from the Robo plotline.
They should have called it the Robo Hobo Island. Come on.
Nah, I think the name change was an improvement.
There's a couple times that something similar happens in this comic, but
Okay.
that's why I was like, huh, I'm impressed that you know about this, MG. I was like, there's no way that he's read that far.
I'm sorry. I'm a disappointment.
No, it's okay. No.
No, in my eyes, you would be a disappointment if you knew more about Archie.
Shut the I will kill you.
I mean, I'm going to pretty soon, so I'm going to be disappointment in no time.
One day you'll understand. You'll all understand. I think that's it, right? Like, really
Sonic fights low-grade Donkey Kong too.
Oh yeah, there's a gorilla. He's a gorilla.
That's a gorilla.
I did want to mention like the little bit with when like Knack like attempts to gas Sonic and then he like starts driving away, and then like it turns out Sonic was in the back. Like maybe it was just because I was speed reading a little bit, but I thought it was a nice detail that like if you look, you can actually see like Sonic running into the back. But I didn't notice, so I was just like completely surprised when Sonic popped up.
I didn't notice that either, but now that you mention it and I'm looking at it again, you can see the shaking of the little trunk and stuff and the speed trail. Yeah, you're right.
Not gonna lie, I completely missed it. Oops.
You also just don't see Sonic lying next to the gorilla in the BBBNG.
Although on a similar note, I guess like it kind of cheats because I'm pretty sure it did this or explains like Sonic was like, I put a mask to my face real quick so I didn't get hit by the gas. And I'm like, I didn't really show that in the art, but whatever. They do some cheating here and there. Maybe it's just it's just because Sonic's fast. Don't worry about it.
We do a little trolling.
Also, Sonic nukes the place again, essentially.
They sure do like to bombard. I think Sonic should be arrested for war crimes, actually. No, I'm going back. I was making a joke earlier, but maybe we need to have a real sit down.
How does Robotnik keep rebuilding from all the times Robopolis has been destroyed?
Very carefully.
He's got a lot of money.
Okay.
A lot of resources, a lot of scrap to work with.
Money. Okay. Is that all we have? About 40? We good?
That's all I've got.
That's all I've got.
Before Bob goes into the summary of the next one, I do wanted to point out that the next one is written by Ken Penders.
I thought this felt weird.
Yeah, I gotta admit, like, this is the... I don't even know what to call it, but, like, you know, that's just the one thing about me paying attention to who's writing what, is like, oh, here's the last story for our session. I'm like, it's Ken Penders.
We do have a new artist, though. Kyle, I think he's new. I don't know. Maybe he's appeared before. Kyle Hunter is the one that did the pencils for this. Before
we talk about the comic and art itself, what the hell is going on with this cover? Holy shit!
Oh yeah, it's a real frickin' trip. It's I guess I should include it in my show notes, but
it once again really has nothing to do with what happens in the comic.
Not at all. It's like a zombie attack on the cover and everything else.
You know what it reminds me of? There was a level in Turok 2 which you blow up demon gates or whatever, and this
goes back to Turok.
I told you before we started I had something to tie into Turok.
I just didn't expect. I didn't know it would actually be that relevant. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Speaking of Turok, you'll never guess who comes back in this episode.
Coincidentally, yes. So go ahead, Bob. Give us the summary.
Okay, so do you all remember, viewers, King Acorn and the Zone of Silence from forever ago? Because today is when they're actually going to get back to that. This is a hard summary to write, but bear with me. The Freedom Fighters make their way back to the Zone of Silence to try to get King Acorn back and to get his memories back. Due to Robotnik's experiments, that is all I wrote about the experiments. I don't actually remember what happened there. But the zone is all trippy, and the gang is watching visions of stuff that like already happened with King Acorn, and it's really weird. Then as the zone is collapsing, Sonic knocks out the king, and then the gang is able to get him out of the zone of silence, and then they use a neutralizer on the zone before it gets wiped out with all the king's minions alive in there. Yeah. That was a hard summary to write because I didn't fully comprehend what was going on with like the visions and how everybody sees like stuff that's like about to happen in like 5 seconds and stuff like that.
Probably
so I hope it wasn't
perverted.
just me. That was just a really strange read. Also, before I continue, I just wanted to point out this Robotnik I found only just now that he has mismatching number of fingers.
You're right.
I think I had more to say on the weirdness, but I forgot.
I
Mostly the fact that it was just hard to figure out what was going on. It wasn't just me, right? That it took me like the whole... that it was basically impossible to write the whole summary as I went along because I hadn't figured out how the visions worked.
Yeah.
I think I was following along, but I wouldn't have wanted to write a summary either, personally.
I got it, but I just wanted to point out really quick that just because you mentioned as the gang, but to specify, we get an
yeah, I didn't mention
the perverted skunk is here.
I didn't mention that John the Skunk also makes an appearance. My notes do not contain anything he did or why he's here. So
Jonathan the Hedgehog appears.
I can't remember if he actually contributed anything at all. Actually, he was just kind of there.
He was just there, so I didn't write anything in about it.
So, one thing I noticed in this particular issue, the proportions of the characters constantly change between, it feels like, page to page. Like, every now and then they have the classic Stumpy, classic Sonic. But then Sonic's, like, really lanky in a couple of them, and it looks really weird with, like, the old school head on it.
King Acorn can't choose a body model between all of his appearances. Not just in this issue, just in general. Oh, this Robotnik is really good. This is a good Robotnik. It's like the second page of the story. It's like,
why did he go so hard with Robotnik in that panel specifically?
Not just that, but Kyle, buddy, you cannot do that. I have like 3 screenshots from the same page. It's insane. You cannot contrast this Sonic the Hedgehog with that Robotnik and this swap bot. It's just, you cannot, buddy. Listen, I'm not an artist, all right, but I will just say this ain't it. You cannot put these 3 things together and be one of them is not like the other.
I like how immediately in the next panel, the page, it just goes back to normal too.
Well, yeah, the swap bots still have like really hard shading on them. Like it does like this. Like throughout the issue, there's just panels. Like not even panels. There's just like parts of panels that go hard. Yeah. But also, you're right. Everybody's body models just off filter everywhere.
Yeah, this does remind me. What happened to the combat bots? I thought they were better than the swap bots in every single way.
Excuse me, they're called the combots.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I forgive you.
But they're just gone, I think. Unless they come back up later just to...
They were nuked.
Oh, okay. Which one? the stockpile of atomic bombs or the nuclear power plant?
Both.
Okay.
We lost a lot of good combots that day.
Oh, God.
Yeah, Jeffrey St. John is just kind of a nothing. I mean, he's he's there to create conflict with Sonic, but I mean, like, at this point, everybody's there for that reason. Sonic is there to create conflict with himself.
So I wanted to
They
ask,
talk a lot.
I wanted to ask if like anyone else was scratching their heads. That's something that confused me. It was how this kind of there was like this conversation at the start with like how Sally at first is like, "Oh, I'm gonna do this alone," and then both Sonic and Jeffrey seem to like both be like, no, you should stay here and leave. Like, it'd be a good idea if you stayed here. And then, like, I just, like, the next page, like, all three of them are going into the zone. I was like, wait, did I miss something? Did I miss a text box? Okay, I guess this is what's happening. Maybe they both forgot because they're both stupid.
They just followed her in, I bet.
Maybe they both punched each other so hard they just forgot about that.
I mean, they just start. I mean, that's exactly. You're right. They just start fighting. Like, I'm just like looking over again, and I'm pretty sure they just start fighting a shit ton. And then Sally's like, you know what? Shut the fuck up. We're going. Just open the door. Which is just like literally, she's just like, open the door. We're going in. Like, you guys shut up. Like, you have a job to do. And then, yeah, they I guess they can't say anything because they really did screw the pooch on that one since they spent 2 pages fighting.
Hey, editor just called. We need to get to the interdimensional place really fast. But my characters just fought. I need to have... No, just cut to them going. Oh, okay.
There's a little bit of chatter. I mean, like, you know, Rotor gives them some equipment and stuff, and then they go.
I think Rotor breaks his neck in one panel.
Oh, God, I forgot about that.
Can someone bring that up? I don't remember that.
It looks so
I know
weird
exactly what you're talking about, man.
I'll get a screenshot of that for you. I'm sorry, I do it the old-fashioned way. Give me a second. Just go ahead and I'll grab it for you guys.
Okay, I will just mention that there's a vagina in this episode. There's just a rampant vagina.
Yes, there is a vagine.
One of the portals looks really bad. I'll just post that while we're waiting, but...
Oh, Savagugu. I didn't notice it first.
What did you just
Savagugu.
Savagugu.
That's right. You're correct.
It's the vagine.
Sorry, everybody. We haven't taught Bob about the birds and the bees yet.
There it is.
He thinks that's called a vagugu.
What? Get Rotor.
Why is this next?
I had to leave there. Just one more thing.
Those were his last words.
One more thing.
He wasn't lying when he said that's one more thing. The last one.
They took Rotor out really early. I thought he was around for a lot longer. Again,
boy.
I always need to clarify whenever I point out like weird art stuff like this, it's still infinitely better than anything I can do. So
yeah, but it's still fun.
Oh, it's absolutely fun.
It's very funny to look at.
I just feel I just had to point that out whenever I do that. That's all.
King Acorn talks to a frog for like way more panels than anybody should be talking to a frog, unless their name is Big the Cat.
What if this is Froggy?
I don't.
Shut up! I don't.
This is
actually.
This
that would be really funny.
The secret backstory it looped into one.
All right, Froggy enjoyers, read issue 41 to find out the dark, twisted past of Froggy.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're actually at the part with the visions in the like continuity of our conversation, and you're right. I kind of also... Oh! No, I remember now. So, it's supposed to, like, reference the fact that the zone of silence apparently doesn't have, like, a proper flow of time. So, what they're doing is they're just, like, seeing the past, and then if they find, like, a hole in time, then they see, like, different points of what actually... It's not visions, it's actually them. Think of like in the Avengers, one of the Marvels. I'm talking out of my ass. I know that they had a moment where like some of the cast like do a thing where they go back in time and they watch stuff unfold.
That would be Endgame, yes.
Yeah, in Endgame, that's right. Yeah.
I mean, that was just standard time travel.
No, but like, okay, true. But like the things that we see happened with them in mind. In other words, they are viewers, but also cause what happened to have happened because they were already there. Anyway, it's just timey-wimey bullshit. The point is, it's not actually visions. It's like actually them witnessing the flow of time as observers there. It's bad. This is exactly what I mentioned earlier, where I said that you get these really thick plot stories, and you got this is great. Actually, this is great. This contrast right now, where we get the Mecha Metal stuff, the Mecha Sonic Knuckles stuff, and then you have this, and it's just like these are both plot significant stories with a lot of continuity. But then you have, the Mecha Sonic stuff where everybody's talking and there's like, it's kind of fun and it's like interesting to see what everybody says, and there's kind of like a building of character for everybody, except for when everybody's really mad for some reason, but we'll disregard that for now. And then you have this where everybody's talking, there's so many words on the page, and I just don't care. They don't mean a lot. You could just get like a 1-word summary for each page, or like a 1-paragraph summary for each page, instead of all these lines of dialogue that kind of don't really lead to much, if that makes sense. Like you said,
yeah,
Jeffrey just is not there. Like he's there, but he just does not matter. He talks so much, but who cares? It's so forgettable because it doesn't matter.
That's just me every time Jeffrey says anything. Who asked? Who cares?
Who asked?
For real, it's like it's like that meme of like, every time Jeffrey St. John is not on panel, people should be asking, why won't they keep him off panel?
That's like the opposite, but that's what I am thinking.
Yeah. He's really handsy. He's a real pervert, man. He does have a flamethrower at one point. I don't know where from, but that's pretty cool. I think it's a flamethrower. I actually can't tell. Oh, no, it's the neutralizer. Just kidding. Haha. I had like a little... I didn't screenshot it for the show notes, but I just was like looking at that and I was like, is that a flamethrower? Because I was like, every time I read this, I'm like, I didn't pay attention to it. The best way I want to say that I have, like, just to give you guys context of how I read this back in the day, it's like I would read through a lot in a row. Like I would binge.
Oh, sure.
So to like, go and look at these one by one and kind of in smaller bursts, it's like I can see problems. But when you're like going through it and you're just like, I've got the high level of this plot, like it introduced this one thing that I think is neat, and then it's used later on, and it's just kind of like that mentality of like, there's a lot of really cool stuff sprinkled throughout. The zone of silence, I think, is a really neat concept. The fact that there's a bunch of people trapped in there is really cool. Do I care about like the stuff that they actually show that like happening to them in there? Not really. I unfortunately don't, because of the way it's presented, but I also I still like the idea of these things, and I still like that the way that it was like just on a high level presented. Like, here's the zone of silence.
It's called the zone of silence because it puts all the readers to sleep.
I don't know if that actually makes any sense as a burn, but I guess I'll take it.
It wasn't... he's not completely off the mark. I wasn't a huge fan of Zone of Silence arc.
If we're just saying this story's bad, then yeah.
You know what?
All the Zone of Silence stories have been bad.
I'll say this as a tribute. This comic sucks. Hang on.
To who?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to
this comic sucks.
I have to stop myself from singing atop the fourth wall.
Okay, yeah. Insert gif of Linkara running at you at high speed.
I'm like the one guy who doesn't know what these guys are saying right now.
You've been around us your whole life. How do you not know
I
it's
don't know what Linkara, top of the fourth wall or whatever. I haven't seen that.
What's a Linkara?
Bro, we played TF2 with him.
What's a chain awesome? Did you really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, we used to play
Linkara?
on Lord Cat's server. Yeah, like I have him on my friends list on Steam.
Wait, this is quite the
I didn't know that.
It's okay. This is the Linkara podcast.
Okay, before I forget, I just wanted to say something that was amusing to me. It was the line Nicole says to Sally, which was "If you want charm, see me later." Wait, what did she mean by this?
So that's why there's so many Sally X Nicole comics out there.
I didn't know this pairing happened so early.
Maybe at some point when we get a little deeper into the comics, we can have a little sidebar episode where we delve. No, I already have some requests. So look forward to this in the future. This is not up for debate. These boys will participate in this, whether they like it or not. We were going to have to rank our top 10 echidnas.
I love Shade the Echidna.
Well, you've got a head start, I guess, but yeah, 9 more.
Are there any echidnas going above Knuckles?
I can't tell you that because that's up to you, right?
That's actually
we'll find out another day.
That's actually a good question. I'm wondering if there's ever going to be any echidna character that I would put above Knuckles.
I have one.
I highly doubt I will.
I have one. It's a Sonic Underground Knuckles.
Well, that's just Knuckles.
We may just have to wild card Knuckles if we all choose Knuckles like that, and just like top 10 non-Knuckles echidnas. But I had a request for that already from a couple people that were like, "You've got to do this in the podcast. I want to hear." And then also, I think something along the lines of fan art, but I don't know about that. Maybe.
Hey, that'd be funny. I would do that.
Yeah, we should. I don't remember.
It wouldn't
exactly
be good, but I'll do it.
Like ranking Sonic OCs. I feel like we should find Sonic OCs specifically from like 2000. Like the 2000s.
I have
like
no idea how you
2000s.
would actually go about doing that.
Also, I'm like super sleep deprived right now. When you said fan art, I thought you meant something along the lines of like us drawing something for funsies.
Oh my god. Oh no, that's it. Bah, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry for that clap. The Foley is gonna suck on that. You're so right. That's exactly what it was. It was all of us designing a Sonic OC.
Because after that, I thought you meant we were gonna look at like people's fan art of the comics, but I guess I was right before.
No, you were right before. Yeah. I'm trying to remember what the specific request was that somebody wrote to me. They're like, "You should do this," and I was like, "This is a terrible idea, but I love it."
I'll just resurrect my old Sonic OC.
No, you can't. You have to. So this will be the. You know what?
Nothing's gonna top Nega Silver. Okay.
No, what? You've done that?
Yeah, his real name was John the Hedgehog.
I actually remember that. I can't believe I remember that.
Did I call him John the Hedgehog? I meant to say John the Skunk.
No, you called him John the Skunk, and I called him Jonathan the Hedgehog. Not related to MG's OC. I didn't. Hold on, Harv. You gotta find this guy. You gotta show and tell for next class.
I don't know if it exists anymore.
I don't know.
I could.
Damn.
I might be able to find it. We'll see. Hold on.
I wonder if I have it.
This is definitely going to be well in. Like, we have to get to at least issues like 150, I feel like, before we can do this. But I want us to all create a Sonic OC that fits into the world of Mobius in the Sonic Archie. And we have to think of backstories for them. That will be so good. I'm so excited. I feel like it's 2020, like
Here's
2010
my OC,
again.
super cool, the enchilada.
Oh, I got him.
Icy Hot the Hedgehog.
I got him.
You got him?
I got him.
Okay.
Oh, just seeing that image just transports me. It transports me back in time.
This is going in the show notes. So if you guys want to see MG Harv's old OC Nega Silver.
Hold on, it gets better. I got a full sprite sheet for you.
A full sheet.
If you want this just in, if you want Nega Silver in your next sprite project, you can do that. It's in the show notes. Is he? Wait, why John the Hedgehog? Is that his name?
Yeah, because he was corrupted by evil, but then he turned into Nega Silver. Why do I remember that?
Power move.
No,
pure darkness blast.
It's pure darkness, can't you see? Look, I established the black lightsaber before it was cool, okay?
This just in, Harvek has invented the dark saber.
John Favreau, I want royalties on my doorstep right now. That, or I want you to come make some cookies with me like you did with Benji with Babish.
Dude, I would want to make cookies with him. Anyway, sorry, we're completely off topic.
We at like 76 minutes is probably time to wrap up. So, do you want to give our final thoughts? Anybody?
I enjoyed Mecha Madness.
Yeah, at least the robot fighting was cool.
So this session had some high highs and some low lows. The high highs had some weird stuff like the magnet knuckles, but it was something I could deal with. And Robotnik coming out of into the fallout, I guess, was pretty weird. But that stuff didn't bother me either. So I had a good time. Some very high highs.
Fallout, new Mobius.
Spaz's art was a treat. Honestly.
Yes. I did point out a weird panel like the Robotnik teeth, but yeah, I like Spaz a lot. So it was nice to see him again.
I hope he continues to expand and contract Robotnik throughout the panel.
No offense, Spaz.
Well, we hope you're listening, Spaz.
I'm sorry.
If you are,
I'm sorry.
If you are, hit us
your
up.
Robotnik teeth. I love your art, though. I'm sorry.
Patrick Spaziante, please hit us up. We'd love to have you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked Mecha Madness a lot. You know, it's always a treat getting to this point. It's probably one of the highest highs at this point of the comic.
I could see that.
Which to me is pretty good. I think it's one of the best specials that we get in this early chunk of specials of 8 specials or whatever. I always forget what the specials are in between these early arcs. Yeah, that's really the big. It's always to echo what Harv said. It's always a treat to see Spaz's art through the actual comic and not just on the cover.
Yeah.
Thank Mr. Spaz.
Love your art.
I think we've got. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just saying I love his art.
Mm-hmm. Dorko, do you have anything? Any final thoughts? Closing thoughts?
No, I really can't think of anything else.
All right, fair enough. So next time we'll probably be doing a pretty decent chunk of reading. Maybe not. Kind of like not having a ton, but also somehow not a ton still turned into a lot. And I'm sorry about that. It's my big mouth constantly going over. I like these little things.
Okay, the one thing I'm dying to know is if we're gonna reach the Sonic Live special the next episode or the episode after.
It's this episode. So actually, this upcoming episode. So my plan for us, of course, tentative for everybody listening. I might change it post, but Sonic Quest, which is 3 issues. It's a mini series. We'll do Sonic 42 and then Sonic Live. Those 5 for sure. Maybe 43 and 44. But mini series, I'm thinking if we keep recording every other week, I feel like we should be okay to do mini series 1 through 3, 42 and then the special and then 43, 44. If I recall correctly, 43 and 44 are one plot, one arc, but I don't often recall things good. Oh, yeah, okay. Yes. So 43, 44, we can stop there. actually have to. Sorry, we can actually do 43 and then do 44 after if we want to, or we can do 43 and 44. They're separate stories.
Dear audience, this is a quick peek into the mind of MegaFire as he decides.
Maybe we should discuss this in post.
Maybe I'm going to be cutting a lot of this out.
Thank you all for listening.
Leave it in. This is a look behind the curtain.
Just leave it
into the madness of what we do.
My ADHD brain.
Roll it back in. Thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks for dealing with our madness. We'll see you next time.
Hope you enjoy. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.